This is Barbell Therapy, the podcast helping women build strength, confidence, and self-trust through fitness and real conversations. I'm your host, Coach Kate. Get comfy and let's get into it. What is up, Barbell Therapy fans, and welcome back. Today, we are going to be talking about the method that I actually use with my clients that helps them lose, on average, 15 pounds in 4 months, and that is just the average. There have been more, there have been less. It totally depends on your individual goals, but more importantly, they keep it off, okay? Because if you've ever lost weight and gained it back, you already know that fat loss isn't the hardest part. Maintaining it is. And most people are out here trying to lose weight with a meal plan and a workout plan, while their mindset, their coping mechanisms, their boundaries, their stress, their self-trust, it's all still a mess. And this is why maybe losing weight is easier, but keeping it off is actually impossible. And let's be honest, losing weight is getting harder every year. Let's not be one of those women who starts over every Monday, every month, and every January anymore. You're not broken, okay? You just need to have the internal structure to support your goals for the long haul. So today, I'm walking you through my 3-phase mindset first approach with a step-by-step process. I'm going to say something that's going to annoy you, okay? If you keep trying to change your body without changing how you respond to stress, weekends, social plans, emotions, and your own self-talk, you are going to keep getting the same results, because fat loss is not just about calories in and calories out. Not anymore. Not with life the way that it is for you right now. Fat loss for you is about the decisions, the patterns, the consistency, nervous system regulation, self-trust, and true resilience. Most women don't fail because they don't know what protein is. Failing comes because you're exhausted, you're overwhelmed, and you don't have a plan for real life. You don't have a relationship with yourself that turns one imperfect day into a full spiral. So here are the 3 phases that we use, okay? Phase 1 is the reckoning. We stop the chaos, we stop the extremes and figure out what is actually happening that's holding you back, okay? Phase 2 is the resurrection, and this is where we rebuild the structure, consistency, self-trust. This is where fat loss can actually become predictable. And phase 3 is our liberation. We lock it in for your real life, okay? You will have a full idea of what you need to do when you travel, when there's holidays, when you're stressed, when busy seasons are coming about. So you don't actually gain the weight back, okay? So now I'm actually going to break it down for you step by step. You're going to be able to walk away from this and be able to implement. So in phase 1, you have to uncover the truth of what's actually holding you back, okay? You need to establish a starting baseline and then slowly work towards a sustainable, healthy lifestyle that is within your everyday capacity, even when life is chaotic. Okay, so you need to bring yourself to reality and audit what's actually happening and not just what you think you do on a daily basis. Okay, you have to look at your typical days of eating, weekends, alcohol, sleep, stress, hunger cues, emotional triggers, past dieting history, and the why behind your current habits. Once you evaluate that, that's when you're gonna figure out what your starting point is. Then you can stabilize your calories and protein from there, right? So whatever your starting point is, when you're looking at all of those factors, you want to then figure out, do I need to go up? Do I need to go down? And you need to do that a little bit slower. Same thing with steps and workouts. You need to figure out what you're currently doing, how to implement a little bit more, what is in your capacity to do on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. And you need to slowly build yourself up to that point, okay? A lot of women just come in thinking they need to just cut harder. But the truth is you're already under eating, or you're inconsistent, or just incredibly reactive. So you need to build that stable baseline, consistent meals, enough protein, manageable calories, and refining the quality of what you're eating too. This is where you're building your minimums, right? This is where you're actively figuring out what your non-negotiables are, that you eat your protein, that you move your body, that you drink your water, that you track your food, and you have a plan for the weekends that's consistent and repeatable. Phase 1 is not sexy, okay? But it is the reason the rest of this works. And that leads us into phase 2, which is the resurrection. And this is where we can actually start producing consistent fat loss, okay? Because you have that foundation. You have built a foundation. You know how many steps you can tolerate. You know how many workouts you can do a week. You know how many macros you need to eat to fuel your body and your current weight consistently. You understand and you have built a foundation of a healthy lifestyle, okay? When you have that foundation that works, even on the most chaotic days, that's structure. Okay, it's second nature. So now in the resurrection phase is where that badass version of you is starting to come back. She's coming back to life. She's feeling energized again, and she's ready to actually be able to do the really hard things that is required in a fat loss phase. But you need to be radically honest about your consistency. So you have the capacity, but now you have to execute on a consistent basis, okay? You have to be tracking more accurately. You have to be more consistent and on point with your weekends. Your social meals need to be aligned with your goals and not your current mood, okay? You have to be able to say no to alcohol. All that stuff we talked about in last week's episode where, you have to be the outcast and be okay with it. If you haven't listened to that, pause this, go back and listen to it because it's really important. Those are the things that are non-negotiables for you to have inside of that resurrection phase so that that person, that incredible person of you can come back, okay? Fat loss is math, but that math requires behavior. And this is where your behavior is predictable. You're doing the things you need to do and you feel good about them. You need to audit your environment, create boundaries, and pave a path for predictability inside of that weight loss phase, okay? Phase 3, the liberation. This is the difference between I just lost weight and I am a different person now. You didn't just lose weight. You are a different person who's going to maintain the results that you are going to get. Okay. This is where we solidify your identity. You're shifting from outcome goals to process goals. You're not obsessed over the scale. You're obsessed over seeing progress in your strength, increasing your energy, getting better sleep, making sure your routines are aligned with how you want to feel on a daily basis, having boundaries, managing stress better, having better reactions and more meaningful relationships. This is where your consistency is incredibly important. This is where you are the woman who is resilient through the setbacks that life is going to throw at you. You feel liberated because you know what to do after a hard day, after a binge, after a weekend where you went off plan. You recover without punishing yourself, okay? And that's because you know how to trust yourself, because your biggest transformation isn't about those 15 pounds. It's about being the woman who doesn't spiral anymore, the one who knows what to do, the one who doesn't need another Monday to start. That is what liberation is. And in that liberation phase, because you have built that foundation, you are able to go into a calorie deficit, increase steps, increase cardio, and be totally on point when it comes to that fat loss phase, so you can get in, get your results, get out, and you know exactly how to do that, okay? But this is the part that nobody wants to admit. Most women don't need more information. Like, I can literally give you your own step-by-step guide, macros, workouts, but you haven't been able to do it yet on your own for a reason. You are already a warrior in your life. You execute, you take care of everyone else, you're handling everything. You know you can do this, but you haven't yet. You haven't really figured out why either. The reason that everyone else around you survives is because they have you. But who do you have? And this is where accountability and community comes in. When life is throwing grenade after grenade, you need to get it together. But no one around you understands. So you make decision after decision after decision that it's against what's best for you and your goals because that's the only thing you know. But what if you had a person in your corner that could help keep you moving on the right path and walk over speed bumps with you and show you through the detours, right? What if you had a group of women on the same journey holding back the branches that fall on your path? Because you can know what to do. But the moment that you get too tired, stressed, you're PMSing, you're triggered, you're busy, you're overwhelmed, or you get into that screw it mood, you will default to your old identity because those are the habits that are currently automatic and safe. And that's why having someone helping you zoom out when you're too emotional and reminding you of the plan when you're feeling impulsive, calling you out when you're lying to yourself, helping you adjust instead of just quit. That is the bridge between I know what to do and I actually do it consistently. And that's why my clients don't just lose weight, they stop living in the cycle of starting over. But if you're listening to this and thinking, I've tried the plans, I've tried the macros, I've tried the workouts, but I've never had that step-by-step process that actually fits my life. And I've never had someone hold me accountable when my patterns start to kick in, then let's talk about whether coaching is a right fit. All right, I love you. I'm proud of you. And I'll talk to you in the next episode.